Hello, hello there. It is 9 o'clock here in Stockholm, Sweden, 8 o'clock usual time in the UK. So I'm back for this week's weekly Facebook Live show. I really hope you guys have been having the same beautiful sunshine that we've been having here in Northern Europe. I'm heading back to London tomorrow, unfortunately, although the weather's nice there as well. And Stockholm seems like it's going to continue to be having beautifully sunny weather for at least another week, which, as you maybe can imagine, is quite unusual for this time of year. Sweden's a bit behind the UK too, so it's really nice. We're beginning to see some cherry blossoms and magnolias and so on here in Stockholm, whereas back in England, we've already passed that phase, unfortunately. But anyway, just to say, I've had a really lovely time here, working hard, of course, but I have had the time to go to my favourite spots here and there, see some friends. And today I went for a 12-kilometre run, which I'm very proud of. Longest run in quite some time, I have to say. So it's obviously really nice to be in a new place. I always like running as a way to explore a new city and so on. But anyway, enough of my chit chat about Stockholm and Sweden. In case you don't know, by the way, I am Swedish. My parents are both Swedish. I grew up in England. That's just an aside, but I don't know if I ever really talk about that on the website and my bio and so on. So that's just a little bit of information about me. I do want to say hello to all the new members in the last few weeks. So hopefully you know who I am. I'm Anna Lundberg. I'm the founder of One Step Outside. And my idea with this group and these trainings really is to help you all to reimagine what success looks like, to balance your personal with your professional priorities. And for a lot of you, although I know it doesn't apply to all of you, but many of you find ways to create that business, whether it's a side hustle or turning that side hustle into something full-time, or if you already have a business and you want to grow that. So hopefully I try my best to balance all the resources in here and so on to cover those different areas, both some sort of early stage tips and little steps you can take when you're right at the beginning of the journey, I suppose, and you're not really sure what you want to do, feeling a bit stuck, and you have some ideas and so on, and then right the way through to when you already have a business and you really want to take it further and grow. So hoping that you find what you're after here. As ever, I want to really urge you to comment, to ask your questions, to interact with each other. I think one of the biggest benefits of this kind of group, and certainly the people I've seen in here, seen you joining, is that you can engage with each other, have this like-minded group of people, people who, like you, are trying to find that balance, find that bigger meaning, perhaps purpose in what they're doing. And I think it's so valuable to connect and engage with each other. So really hope you do that. And of course, I'm really here. The whole point of this group is to be able to help you. And so that's why I'd love to hear your questions, your comments. Just ping me anonymously, or not anonymously perhaps, but at least privately. If you're not comfortable with sharing with the group, that's no problem at all. And I'm happy to help you and ideally perhaps create a training or a session in the future for you. So hoping that's going to be something that you do in the next few weeks, so I can really help you along the journey. I did think I should actually perhaps mention, and you may have been bombarded with lots of emails about GDPR here in Europe, privacy policies and so on. I have to say, just to be completely honest about this, I've always valued everybody's privacy. I've never emailed anybody or kept any data, and certainly not sold any data to third parties, shared any data at all. So I really hope everybody feels comfortable with that. I do have a privacy policy on my website. Every email you get, if you are on my email list, you can always unsubscribe at the bottom there. So if you have any questions or concerns, of course, do let me know. But hopefully my general intent certainly is not to in any way contravene any laws or privacy. I completely value your time, your privacy, your data security, and so on. I only ever really collect your first name and email, and that's to allow me to send you resources and to send you those weekly emails and tips and so on. So hopefully that's okay. But of course, if you unsubscribe, no problem at all. That happens automatically, and your information gets deleted. So hopefully that's reassuring to you all. So I wanted to dig into today's topic, and this week and really for the next month we are going back a little bit perhaps for some of you, but it's such an important topic. I think it's worth going back to from time to time, and that is about when we're getting stuck, what the reasons for that might be. And specifically here we're looking at when you're considering maybe starting a business, or perhaps you have something sort of alongside your full-time job and you're not quite ready to go all in. You sort of want to take it a bit more seriously, but you're just kind of dabbling a bit and not really making that transition. So I'd love to hear what other people are getting, or what you where you are getting stuck. I have collected a few common areas where people get stuck. Certainly clients I work with, I've been interviewing people, working with people now for 4 or 5 years. So plenty of areas where people are getting stuck. So hopefully some of these, or maybe not hopefully, these won't apply to you. But if they do, hopefully you'll get some tips here. And as I said, we will be digging into these over the next few weeks. Next week, I have an announcement about a challenge that's coming up in the group. So hopefully that's interesting, where we're really going to really face head on some of these biggest challenges. I did do a poll, by the way, that hasn't had a lot of response. So if you see that below this post, I'd love to get your feedback. I was just asking where you might be getting stuck. If you're not getting stuck anywhere, that's fantastic. You might also put a thumbs up, no problemo, underneath in the comments if you want, just to let me know that you've seen it and then you're absolutely flowing and on fire and you don't need any support there at all. And otherwise I put some suggestions there, maybe time, money, lack of knowledge, skills, confidence, whatever it may be. So do check that poll out. I'd love to get your feedback there. So without further ado, if I dig into a few of the areas where we might getting stuck. And one of the biggest ones, and it is something that if this comes up for you, I'd really encourage you to explore the blog, because I spent a good deal of the beginning part of the year and probably the end of last year talking about this. And I think the number one reason why we get stuck is because we don't know what we want to do. And in particular, and that sounds a bit strange perhaps, but bear with me, in particular when we're, let's say, in the corporate 9 to 5, we've decided not this. We know that we don't want to continue with this, or we think we don't want to continue with this, but that's all we've ever known. And so we don't really know yet. We might have had a childhood passion that may or may not apply now, and we might have some different ideas, some dreams that just feel too far-fetched, and so on. And I think the lack of clarity of what we want to do is what holds us back. Ultimately, it is the hardest thing to work out what we want, but the good news is once you've worked that out, you can actually much more easily take the steps, work out the plan, get the skills, support, whatever that you need to make that a reality. So that's not to say that you need to sit behind your desk, stay stuck and spend all your time, years and years, working out your exact vision, business plan and so on. But it's definitely worth dreaming a little bit and thinking back to those childhood dreams, listing all the things that you've ever considered doing or launching or being, whether it's travel or hobbies you have or whatever. Don't put a label on it, just brain dump it onto a piece of paper and then begin to visualize what an alternative could look like. And you're only in the early stages now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It never will be, really. And to be honest, clarity comes from taking action as well. So that's important to bear in mind. But I do think that's the biggest block for a lot of us, that we just don't know what we want to do instead. So if that's you, then I'd really encourage you to give yourself the time to explore, to experiment, to research, to read, to watch, to be inspired. Perhaps take some time out, whether it's an afternoon, a weekend, longer if you can, and just get out of your usual situation. And that tends to sort of give you some additional perspective. You know, when you go on holiday and suddenly everything becomes really clear, and then you go back to work and it's all back to square one again. You're back in your PowerPoints and presentations and meetings and so on. So that's the first one. The second one, a little bit related to that and almost counterintuitive, unfortunately, is analysis paralysis. I saw someone writing about that just today. So it's getting stuck too much in trying to work out the perfect plan, vision, goals, and so on. And in particular, if you're anything like me, this is all about being very rational, and it's the pros and the cons and option 1, 2, 3, and very much trying to gather the information, knowledge, talk to people and find the right answer. And again, both reassuring and perhaps disturbing. The truth is there is no right answer, first of all. And secondly, actually, you're not going to get to a right answer, if there is such a thing, through rationality, through comparing pros and cons and so on. The reality is that you will never have all the information. And so the best thing, and I know it's counterintuitive or perhaps not so familiar for us, is to really trust our gut. I'm holding on to here, so my heart, my gut, and whatever body part you want to relate that to, but really feeling, what feels right. And again, I was just talking to someone about this just before coming on. And if you have two options, let's simplify and say it's either staying here, stuck where I am in this job, let's say, or B, an alternative, which could be, you know, anything that you want it to be. It could be traveling the world or running your own business or whatever it is, just working less hours. And really close your eyes and just visualize what it would be like to do this other thing. Because sometimes I think we just rule it out. We say, no, it's not going to happen. There's no point. We don't give ourselves space to dream, to enjoy, to visualize, to experience what that could be. And I think if you allow yourself to do that, you'll get a really clear answer. And the answer may be, you know what, that's too scary. I don't want to do it. It's not worth it for me. I don't even know if that's important to me. I want to stay where I am. And that's amazing, because that's such a relief. You can now go ahead and, you know, invest in your career, continue down the path that you're on, at least for now. And that's a huge relief and incredibly empowering, really, to be honest. However, should you find that this other dream, the feel that you get, really is something that you want to pursue, then you can go, okay, yes, decision made. I know I want to change, leave at some point. You don't have to change tomorrow. You don't have to have all the steps worked out, but at least you know you've made a decision. Yes, I want to change. And then you can move to the next step of researching, talking to people, thinking. You can set a goal of wanting to change a year from now, 6 months from now, 3 years from now. You know, you can take it at the pace you want. You can save more money. You can cut down your expenses, whatever it is you need to do. So don't put pressure on yourself there, but just the power of making that decision, of going with your heart, with your gut, and not staying stuck in that analysis paralysis. The second tip I give there in terms of analysis paralysis is that action is the best way to get out of that. And again, it's a bit uncomfortable. We want to have the right answer before we move, but we'll never get it from sitting here behind your computer, you know, and not doing a thing. So taking small steps and going out and talking to someone, signing up to a little course, going away on a trip, whatever it is, do something, take action, and that is going to get you out of that comfort zone, see some different ideas, get different perspective, and really help to move you forwards. So do say hello if you're watching, tell me where you are, and I'd love to hear any questions or comments as we go as well. I'm on to the third block, which is, no offense to other people, but following bad advice from others. And this is often well-meaning people, friends and family who are very concerned about their own security. Hopefully they also care about you, and that's why they're worried. What they know is exactly what you know, if not more of the same. Certainly if it's our parents' generation, and they've grown up with certain beliefs around money. This is the best way to earn that income. Then you get your pension, you have a stable, loyal employer, and so on. So there's a lot of beliefs around our family, our parents, and so on, and their generation. But also just people around you, they have fears. They have the same fears that you do. And, you know, not being able to actually leave you the space, I suppose, to explore, to really take that time to see what you want to do, to be curious, maybe make some mistakes, maybe play around with some ideas before you decide what to do. So I think that's one thing, sort of your friends and family and so on. The other piece of bad advice is everything else that we get from society, from social media, all these, you know, 6-figure blueprint to six-step blue. I don't even know what they're called anymore, but you know that this is a big sort of magical steps, formula, blueprint, whatever you want to call it. There's that piece. There's, oh my gosh, you have to hustle and kill yourself in order to be successful. And there's so many different conflicting beliefs. Then within a business, there's, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, and it's all very, very confusing. So I think getting the wrong advice from people is definitely another block. Another one is that you know that you want to move. So maybe you know, yep, not this, and you might even know what it is you want to do, but you just don't know where to start and how to make it happen. And that's completely natural. And we'll be talking a little bit actually in the coming weeks about how you can actually use the skills, the knowledge, the experience, the network above all that you have from your corporate job and when you start your business. But it can feel like you're starting from scratch. I'm not entrepreneurial. I don't know how to do this. Where do I even begin? Yes, I have some understanding of digital marketing and so on, but do I do a website first and business cards? What do I call myself? What do I charge? How do I write a proposal? And so on and so on. So I think we get caught up in the how of building that business, getting it to the income that we need for it to replace and ideally surpass our full-time income in that job and so on. So understanding what the steps are, and that's both when it comes to building the business on the one hand, and also then in terms of, you know, the money situation and planning basically in order to make this a reality. So that's a big one as well. And then finally, and hopefully this doesn't apply, but it certainly applies to a lot of people out there, to be honest. I think one block is that people just aren't willing to put in the work. They give up too easily. Either they give up before they even allow themselves to dream, as we were saying. They really just, you know, they say, oh, it's too difficult, I can't because of this. And the excuses, and I'm going to call them excuses, are usually the same. You know, I've got the mortgage, I've got the car, I've got the family, and so on. And there is some truth to that. But I know very many people who have managed to, you know, despite those restrictions, I suppose, obligations, they have been able to build a business and so on. You know, not in any way to judge anybody's individual situation, but just perhaps to gently encourage you to challenge yourself on some of those beliefs and assumptions you're making, and really look at, you know, if, let's say, if I could work with you for 6 months or a year, and I could get you from where you are today to where you want to be, to where you are confident that you have the business idea, the plan, you know, you have some goals in place that you want to have X number of clients or income by this time and so on. If you're working towards that, would you be up for that? Would you be up for perhaps cutting down on a hobby or something that you're doing at the moment? Maybe getting up a little bit earlier in the morning, you know, maybe being more efficient in the office, you can leave a bit earlier, and whatever it takes. Are you okay with that? In the short term, mind you, I'm never advocating that you should be working yourself into the ground long term. It's just not viable, and it's not going to make for a sustainable business. But it's true that, of course, if you already have a family and a full-time job and so on, if you're adding a business on top of that, you will need to work hard. So if you're willing to do that, then it's completely possible. If not, then again, much better to say, you know what, I just don't think I can take this on right now. I don't want to. It's not worth it. I'd rather stay in this job right now. So that's just a little bit provocative maybe, but I just want to recognize that this is not an easy option. This is not, oh, you know, work is too stressful, I'm going to start a business, that'll be easy. No, I'm afraid not. It takes time. It's an iterative process. Something might not work, something else will work. Takes time to build your audience, to build your credibility, authority, and so on, to build your brand, and to build your income. Completely possible, feasible, if we're in it for the long haul. Certainly if we have a full-time or sort of at least a part-time income job in the meantime, we can take the time to build the business from the foundations and to grow that into something substantial and sustainable. So there's no rush really there if we don't have the immediate pressure to bring in the money. So it's completely possible and feasible, but it does require some work. So I just want to be fully transparent on that. This is not for the faint of heart. It certainly does require commitment. The good news is, if you love it, if you are excited, motivated by this vision that you have, the dream, the flexible working, the ability to travel, to spend time with your children when you want to pick them up from school, to not have the alarm in the morning going forwards and so on, location independence, whatever that dream is, that is so motivating. Somehow this newfound energy will come from nowhere, will drive you forwards, will have you committed, focused on doing what needs doing. So actually that can reinvigorate you, stimulate you, and give you more energy and more time than you realize. So that's the good news. So those are some of the blocks I wanted to explore just this week. So I talked about not knowing what it is you want to do, getting stuck in analysis paralysis, following bad advice, either from sort of society and social media as a whole or from people around you, not knowing what to do, what steps to take, and then finally not really being asked. Basically, you can't really you don't want to put in the effort to make this dream of yours a reality. So a little bit negative there, but I think it's really important to explore what these blocks are, and then of course we can put plans in place to really face those head on, to of course overcome them, to build our confidence, to build our skills, whatever it is that's missing. But I think it's really important to recognize what is keeping us back, and again, decide actually if we don't want to put in the effort to overcome those blocks, then that's absolutely fine, and it's actually a huge empowering, reassuring relief to let go of those sort of I wish I could, or I should, or what if I, and so on. So nice just to let go of those for now and be like, no, for now it's not right for me. So if you want to do that, then I really encourage you to have a think and rather choose the being at peace and alignment with where you are now, than constantly be sort of half-heartedly striving for something, wanting to, but not really doing anything about it. So you need to be all in, committed to that vision, or I'd encourage you to just, you know, put it on hold for now and then just be happy where you are at the moment, and maybe work on getting a bit more fun in your day-to-day. Again, spending more time on your hobbies, getting better sleep, your well-being and so on, which is so important. Maybe getting your finances in order too, to put you into a better situation further down the line. So that's all I wanted to talk about. 20 minutes, I think that's enough for today. Let's not get too dreary with a long list of things that can get in the way. Hope you found that interesting. I'd love to hear from you. Again, private message me if you don't want to share in the group, but otherwise comment, do the poll. I'd love to see the kind of feedback, the balance of what you're finding are the biggest blocks. Do add your own options if they're not there. I'll be back next week. I'll be back in London actually, and so back the usual time, 8 o'clock, British summertime, here in the UK, or there in the UK, I should say. In the meantime, the usual, you know, Friday, if you're on my email list, you'll be getting the weekly email. Let me know if you'd like to join that, and we'll have more to come next week as well. So thanks so much for watching. If you're watching the replay, do say hello, let me know your comments, and I look forward to seeing you here, hopefully live next Wednesday, 8 o'clock UK time. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.